Good evening, I'm Maciej, Mikos. Welcome to Ukraine Brief. Today marks day 1413 since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And so we begin tonight with news from Paris, where members of the Coalition of the Willing are meeting to discuss the future of the war in Ukraine, including potential security guarantees for the country. President Zelenskyy arrived in Paris earlier today for a meeting with key partners from the Coalition of the Willing. Joining Zelenskyy is Kirill Budanov, his newly appointed chief of staff and ex-military intelligence head, known for leading covert operation against Russia. Additionally, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will join the negotiations following President Trump's agreement to provide Ukraine with American security guarantees. Ukrainian officials have called for strong guarantees from both the United States and Europe as a condition for any potential peace deal that involves territorial concessions. Additionally, Kyiv has demanded that the coalition's two leaders, the United Kingdom and France, deploy mandatory peacekeepers into Ukraine following a ceasefire. The negotiations come as Ukraine increasingly voices its skepticism about Russia's own desire for a peace deal, with Zelenskyy framing his recent government reshuffle as necessary to further Ukraine's defense if negotiations should fail. Ahead of the Coalition of the Willing summit in Paris, Poland's Prime Minister has addressed the issue of rebuilding Ukraine and providing it with security guarantees.
The talks and efforts of European, American and Ukrainian diplomats offer a chance. It's more than a shadow of a chance, but certainly not a guarantee. It's a chance for peace in Ukraine, and I don't need to explain how important it would be from the Polish perspective if these efforts and these talks actually led to a ceasefire, to peace.
Ukrainian forces carried out strikes targeting Russian military infrastructure, including an oil depot and armory. According to Ukraine's General Staff, Ukrainian forces launched a large-scale attack against the Gerkon Plus oil depot, inflicting substantial damage to the facility overnight January 6th. Social media footage shows a raging fire that broke out at the oil depot in Russia's Lipetsk region. The facility, located roughly 200 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, supplies petroleum products to at least 3 separate regions in Russia, as well as the Russian armed forces. Additionally, Ukrainian forces reportedly struck an ammunition depot in Russia's Kostroma region, located approximately 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine and causing a fire at the facility. Last night was relatively quiet across Ukraine without major attacks. However, Russian forces continued to strike regions along the front line and the border. Overnight, Russian forces struck the Sumy region in northern Ukraine, damaging buildings and agricultural equipment. No injuries were reported. Russia also shelled residential neighborhoods in central Kherson, damaging the roof of an apartment building which caused flooding in several apartments. Windows were also shattered by the blast. One civilian was wounded and evacuated to a hospital by police. In the Donetsk region, one civilian was killed in Dobropilya after Russian forces dropped 2 guided bombs, damaging 5 houses. Russian attacks continued along the front line in the Donetsk region, with more than 1,500 strikes recorded over the past day, damaging homes and civilian infrastructure. Ukrainians celebrated Orthodox Epiphany today by plunging into icy waters, a ritual symbolizing spiritual cleansing and renewal, as well as a form of a prayer asking for the war to end.
Super. Great. The water is pretty great. It's warm. In winter, it feels like it's warm. I do this to recharge my battery, to recover, to cleanse. I do this for my inner self. I don't have any vain expectations. One has to live day by day and do things to bring our victory closer.
So many people ask and pray for it to end. They do everything they can. They go to church, but it doesn't help. That's why we can only rely on ourselves and just hold on.
And that's all from Ukraine today. Thank you for watching and stay with us for more here on TVP World and tvpworld.com.